Spectacular. Sure, I mean, you can give Apple credit for changing the world. Doesn't make Apple good or right.
That's a good point. But he gives Christianity credit for our entire way of ethics that everyone takes for granted. No.
Well, I mean, Apple is shaping our ethics. Think about how fucking mad we get when someone has a green text.
That's a good point.
That's what being gay used to be.
It's wrong. Yeah, for sure. Oh, you suck dick. Ew. And now it's, oh, you have a green
You have an
bubble.
Android?
Ew.
You should go to hell forever.
Yeah. I wish you would just instead have butt sex.
Yeah, that'd be better.
I wish you'd do that instead of having a green bubble.
That really is one of the biggest, stupidest things is you. I mean, you
butt
really,
sex?
You should be allowed to have butt sex.
What do you mean by allowed? I mean,
like,
go for it.
Nobody should be going to hell because of a little butt sex.
Oh, I don't think that's why people are going.
Oh, really?
Like, it's just the butt sex that's sending people.
It's that they're not having children and they're wasting their God-given bodies.
Oh, you're wasting your seed inside that man's butthole.
Right, but
Gah.
I don't think it's the worst thing to not have children for a lot of people.
Oh, you see all over the Bible, people not having kids.
Yeah.
They were barren.
Yeah. Yeah, why can't gay guys just be barren?
I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't have kids. Oh, is it because of your testicles? Is that why you're struggling having kids?
I'm going to start calling gay guys barren.
Yeah, exactly.
Like as a code word.
Also, how's having kids? We're barren.
We're barren. Oh my God. I mean, that's how it's going to be because of how fluctuating gender is.
Go ahead.
No, I mean,
Keep going.
I don't think what I'm saying is that crazy. I think because we are not diluting, but we're changing the meaning of the terms of men and women to the point where women can have penises, right? Then to say that in some amount of years, it will not be ridiculous to say that, oh, they can't have kids, they're barren. You're just talking about dudes fucking each other.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I was thinking about trying to do pretty good.
Pretty good.
Especially
with the leg lift.
Yeah, was leg lift make it less sound?
Usually it spreads it.
Oh, that's a good point. I was thinking about trying to do that as a joke where it's like as transgenderism becomes more and more regular, the odds only increase that I get asked if I'm pregnant. This is like not...
Instead of being you're fat.
Just being like you're fat. Someone will one day be like, oh, are you pregnant? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm not pregnant.
As you wipe crumbs out of your mustache.
Yeah, exactly. One second. No.
Okay, welcome back to another installment. I'm sure you've been closely following all the other ones of this unreleased podcast.
What episode? You can't say that.
No, it's just
you're
funny.
Still just admitting that it's unreleased.
Okay, welcome to another episode of
Call Him Father. Episode 6, I think.
Episode 6, baby. Still in Genesis. Seems like we're going to be in Genesis for the next 18 years.
Forever, yeah.
And it's not even because we're doing like a good analysis. It's just because we're getting so distracted.
Analysis is so poor.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. Falling apart. Analysis is bad. If you're trying to go for true biblical analysis,
you've come to the wrong place.
Anywhere else. Go to some atheist podcast that just rips it apart.
Yeah.
This is
not the place for you. I don't know who this is for. But anyway, let's give us some ratings.
Sure, yeah. You want to go first? It's been a couple weeks since we record. That makes it look even worse.
Been a couple weeks.
Like, when did they start? We started recording in March of 2017. So,
well, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I have, it's so hard for this not to just be a rating of my mood. And when I'm grumpy, there's no God.
Right. That's
and
funny.
when I'm doing well, I'm like, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
But, well, it's funny because I went to some Quaker meetings.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
Well, I went with my mom, and man, it was great. They're really great. It's funny. They're great until people start talking. Quakers are like really sweet people, but they're like hyper liberal. So once they start talking, it almost always goes to like a kind of a political place, or like I do all this volunteering and like I'm so happy. It gets a little like, the episode of South Park where they fart in the glasses and smell their own farts?
I don't.
Well, that's an episode.
Okay.
Where they move to San Francisco and they all get Priuses and they like become very pretentious and they talk with their eyes closed. All Quakers talk with their eyes closed.
Huh.
Because they're, it's you're in worship.
Oh, sure.
But anyway, so there's little parts of it that feel a little weird to me, but to just sit in a room with other people and meditate or pray, whatever you want to call it, for, I think the first one I went to was like 45 minutes before anyone said anything, was really amazing.
Whoa, that's kind of powerful.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
It was really like I felt very engaged and present after I got over things and I had some epiphanies. And so then
can you share an epiphany? Or is that
I realized,
private epiphanies?
Yeah. I realized I was like meditating and I was like, when is this going to work? When am I going to start meditating correctly? When am I going to be able to focus on an idea or a thought for more than 5 fucking seconds?
Yeah.
Right. I was so aggravated with it. And then, I don't know, something just hit me that like, this doesn't happen on my timeline.
Yeah. That's a great point.
When I realized that, I kind of started being able to drop into it and like let my brain work how it works naturally. And I could have that intention of, oh, life doesn't happen on my timeline. The things I want that I think I need right now, they will not occur the second I want them.
Right. Yes.
And when I let go of that, and things come in a little bit more fluid, natural way, they stick around longer and they come from like more unique and like exciting places than like, oh, I need this to happen this way. It's like when a joke occurs to you, like when a premise comes to you or hits you, and you get that rush of excitement versus when you work on a joke for a long time and you try to force new things into it.
Right.
It's just the spontaneity of it makes for a more exciting experience.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that was I know that was like all over the place, but the main thing was like, oh, life doesn't occur at my speed.
Yeah, that's an important thing. What sucks about that is that you're going to realize that, and this is what it was like, oh, I like realized it. I'm like, oh yeah. It doesn't really like
change anything.
It doesn't really help. It's like, oh yeah, this doesn't happen on my timeline. And I'm like, yeah, that's upsetting. That's upsetting to me. I don't like that because I want everything that I want yesterday, but it is this real, like, I think what you're saying is like when it's supposed to happen, it'll stick better because otherwise it's like you trying to hold on to it and make it happen, but you're not the one who makes it happen when it's supposed to. And I have that when I read a lot where like, I'm like, I need to read this and know it immediately and have the gist of it at least and understand it. And the more I grip at that, the more that stuff, the information that I'm reading seems to shoot out of my head or fall through whatever the sieve is in my head. But when I can just sit and try and read what I'm reading with a little bit of patience and grace, it seeps in better. And then I can get more involved in the actual content versus being like, I need to know this line. If I miss out on this detail, then that I'll forget it in the future, and I'll miss something. I'm so afraid of missing something. Right. And so much of that is about like when you're reading or something, all of that ultimately is about you, right?
Yeah.
You're like reading to build your ego or you're reading whatever instead of trying to understand the thing that is presenting itself to you.
Yes.
Because that's making it about you. You're like, yes, I know this.
Yeah,
and it's like, but what about this?
The
what
second
about
I go, oh, I can't wait to tell this I need to know this so I can tell someone about it, I lose it. But then when I just naturally like it or learn it, it's and you could share it better. It's this weird ironic, it's like this ironic thing. So all that to say, your spirituality or religion is at what levels? It's funny, I was all pissed off today, so I was going to say it was really low, and then when I rethought about that thing, and I went to 2 Quaker meetings, one then, and then I went to another one with a friend last weekend, and I had a similar experience. I think it's higher. I think it's like religiosity or whatever we're calling it. I would put at a 5.
Nice.
I don't know. I really like Quaker meetings. I don't want to go to them all the time, but I think once a month might be a good idea.
Cool.
And spirituality is, I don't know. I haven't been good about, I've been in such a rush lately of like working and stuff and trying to do comedy and trying to be like a good friend and a partner or whatever, that I haven't made time to like, I haven't been paying attention.
Right.
I think when I feel spiritual, it's when I feel involved in not just my own life, but the world around me.
Yeah.
And that requires a level of attention and pacing that I haven't allowed myself. So I'm probably a 5 there too.
Okay. 5 and 5.
5 and 5.
All right.
How about you?
I'd say religion. I really just don't think this is going to change. I'd probably just 8 around
you're
there.
right there.
Need to be pretty nuts for it to. I don't know what a 10 even looks like. Maybe a 10 is like, I'm a devout Catholic or something, like super into the church or something. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, still 8 on religion. Spirituality, I would say probably like a 7. Again, this is not tied with like, I don't tie my spirituality to like how good I'm feeling, but like how with the Lord I think I'm feeling, right? So like it's not like, oh, I'm happy, so spirituality is good. For me, it's like I'm complaining a lot to God, and I am like fighting him a lot on stuff.
Okay.
But I definitely feel his presence, you know?
Right.
So it's not like this, like, oh, everything's good, so God loves me. It's like I'm upset at some stuff, and so I am trying to take that before the Lord and not just try and isolate myself, you know, because I can't handle it on my own. Frankly, that would just I'd explode. Sure. And it's been really good. I was telling you about this earlier, but like last night in the midst of it, I experienced some really powerful, pure joy in the midst of this like trial that I'm going through, which is like amazing. And I only, from my own experience, can only come from the Lord, and just recognizing that like I have a purpose and that all of this is going to turn out well for me because I believe God loves me. He's not out to get me. This is going to turn out well, however it turns out. Whether it turns out the way I want it to or not, it's going to be okay, and it's for my benefit. And for the ultimate, larger good too, for everyone's benefit. So I'd say my spirituality is up, perhaps, although my emotions are down. Emotions down, spirituality up. Which is generally how it happens, actually. Like if I'm like a 10 on happiness,
well, that's when
my
most people
spirituality is
convert,
like a 0.
Is when their life is dog shit.
Yeah, 100%. And then people look at that and like use that as an excuse for like why it's not real. They're like, oh, you were desperate, so you became a Christian. And they're like, yeah, and it helped.
Yeah, sure.
We talked about that last time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but that does kind of aid to the like, it's not so much true as it is comforting.
But people,
argument.
Yeah, but people say that as if that's an argument. But it's
maybe
like just because it's comforting doesn't mean it's
not true.
Yeah, what?
Or maybe if it's comforting, that does mean it's true.
I'd say that as an argument personally. Yeah. That's just crazy. I forget if we talked about this in the last episode, but like Alex O'Connor, great atheist YouTuber. He's awesome. Very fair to everybody. Had this conversation with 2 Christians, and he basically was like, doesn't Christianity offer the answer the problem of suffering a little too well? Mm-hmm. And then to me, I'm like, oh, isn't 4 just too good of an answer to 2 + 2? And then it's like, no, that just is the like, yeah, it's a little too good because it is the answer. Like it's a weird argument to make.
Yeah, but the issue is that with 4, that's pretty much universal, right? Whereas there's other religions and religious experience that people have that make them feel the exact same way.
Sure. It's a more complicated calculus for sure, but that doesn't mean it's not a right answer. Just because it does feel right and look right and smell, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck.
Right, but the thing is with all these different sects and all these different types of religions is we are the one. 4 is 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if I get this, if someone gets the same effect from Muhammad that I do from Jesus, let's say, then the underlying thing that they're committing to, that is the truth. But but the specific thing that people are killing and dying for of Jesus or Muhammad, where that's
Yeah, I guess I don't know what you mean by the underlying thing, because I also
well,
don't
like
think,
God, like some type of higher power
yeah, I do
versus
think
the
there's
specific like formations of it.
right, but I think the assumption there in that statement is that they do offer the same thing, but they don't offer the same thing. So like the sort of respite
But this
that you
feeling
get
of relief
from
that people have that in all types of religion.
you get moments of relief, absolutely, but you get reliefs with asterisks, right? So it's like with Judaism, it's like, okay, I have a relief asterisk waiting on Messiah, right? With
Okay.
Islam, I have relief because there's a way for me to atone for my sins. Asterisk, I got to work for this.
Sure.
Like this is based on me. This is my works. Even like some forms of Catholicism, people are like, okay, I got to work for this. Like this is, some of this is on me, right?
Yeah.
Christianity is the only religion, to my knowledge, that says you are broken, just like how you feel, and everything has been done on your behalf. There is no effort like to save yourself that would work. You have been saved. There's no other religion that I know of that accepts the idea of good and evil, like doesn't just say, oh, it's all relative or it's all random or it's all just in your head, like Stoicism or something like this. It acknowledges evil, says it's evil, says we are suffering, and saves us from that of no effort on our own. Most other religions say, okay, now you need to do something to atone for that somehow. Christianity is the only one that says you don't have to do that. Nor could you
restrict.
do that.
You have to restrict yourself from things, right? Like you have to not do things, like
What do you mean?
sex before marriage, or
You don't have to not have sex before marriage. You could totally be a Christian and have sex before marriage.
yeah, but you're not supposed to.
Right, but what is not having sex before marriage? Is that saving you?
Having sex before marriage saving me?
No. Is abstaining from sex before marriage, is that what saves you?
No, it's Jesus. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So that good work of yours, whatever it might be, doesn't save you. There is no pressure of your own effort in order to assure your own salvation. Christianity says your assurance lies in Jesus and to put your faith in Jesus. Okay. And then once you love Jesus, out of love for Jesus, your life changes, right? Mm-hmm. You give your life to Jesus because he gave your life, or he gave his life for you, right? It's out of love and devotion to him that you live your life according to how he said we should. One, because he told us to, and two, because it's the best, he claims as our creator, it's the best way for us to live our life, the most effective way to live happily, you know? And it might be tough, but that's because we've got a sinful nature that we're fighting against, you know?
Okay.
I know you have more thoughts on this.
Well, again, it's like we haven't gotten to like Jesus yet, and I don't know.
Sorry,
a lot
I
about
shouldn't
it.
have brought him up.
So
we're only a few thousand pages away.
Yeah. But what's going to come out is like what I've run into with Christians of don't do this, do that, right? And so maybe that's not true to the word, but
yeah, I think that's cultural. That's very cultural Christianity, and that's very like efforts-led salvation, right?
Yeah.
So these people, it's a dumb. I don't know if C.S. Lewis. I mean, he probably did say this, but it's this idea of like going to church doesn't make you a Christian, right?
Uh-huh.
Not sinning, quote unquote, doesn't make you a Christian. Like any more than being in a garage makes you a car. Like it doesn't just because you do those things, it doesn't like make you that thing. You know? I don't know if you're laughing ironically or not.
no, that's such a funny way of putting it. Like sitting in a garage doesn't make you a car.
Yeah,
You
sitting
have to
in church.
be a car.
Yeah, sitting in church doesn't make you a Christian.
Yeah.
And it's like not sinning doesn't make you a Christian. Someone being like, "Oh, I've never done," the most pious whatever.
Yeah, but
that's
like,
not what makes you a
drinking a bunch
Christian.
of gasoline and lighting your farts on fire doesn't make you a car either. But like,
But it makes you run good.
it makes you run good.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that a lot of people look at actions and depend and assume Christianity onto other people based on what they look like.
Okay.
which is a form of, you could kind of tell a little bit, right? I mean, it says that in scripture, you will know them by their fruits, but also like ultimately what makes them, touch their bolt.
That's a Christian.
And cough.
Christian.
Christian, yeah. Ooh, going to hell, buddy. You
He didn't get hard when I touched him. That's a Christian.
Nah, pretty good. But I think like ultimately it's your faith in Jesus that, putting your hope in him, that's what makes you a Christian. It's not your actions. But Christians try to convert people in action rather than in heart first. And that's what puts people so far away. That's why like people hate Christianity. You're like, you're just trying to control what I do.
Right.
And it's like, and a lot of Christians are, that's true. And that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, you're supposed to know that you're loved. Like that's the primary mode of like Christianity, is to tell people that they're loved. In spite of all the things that everyone hates themselves. I mean, that's just true.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, you hate yourself. Don't.
Not
You're
me.
You're loved. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah. Anybody who knows me knows I love myself.
Yes, that's true. That number one thing people say about Grant. Oh, Grant, you mean the guy who's in love with himself?
Well, that makes
That's
it sound
Grant.
in love with myself. That makes me sound like a narcissist versus loving myself.
Oh, yes. No, it was healthy love for yourself. That's what it is. Yeah.
All right. Well, I
Let's
think that's
dive in.
interesting, and I do like. I like how all that sounds. I guess there's just so much practice that has gone the other way for so many people.
Oh, yeah,
And
dude. Everyone's
so-
experience of that has been terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like so much of my perception of Christianity is based off of guilt and rejection and subjugation.
Oh, dude.
And
It's very upsetting.
and it's it's all people. It's just this golden thing that it's like all these religions that it promises this thing so that people are really willing to ruin a lot of shit so that they can feel this good.
Dude, people warp anything for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And they could take any good thing and make it bad.
Yeah.
And Christianity, no different. It's a religion, an institution, any tool can be misused,
So like when you say like, oh no, it's all about like this God has this love for you that's just by the fact that you are of his creation
The fact that he made you
is so directly contradictory to my experience.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because the experience that you've been having, then I think is fair to say, has been with, like you said, people or church or whatever. Whereas our experience with God is going to be an experience of acceptance.
Yeah.
Right. But people won't even approach God because they think it's only going to be full rejection,
Yeah, or requirement to change like what they think makes them themselves.
Right, 100%. Well, that also that could be true to a degree, in the sense that it's like our identity is often misplaced, right?
Yeah.
It's like my identity, I'm this, I'm that,
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you are first and foremost loved by God. That's your first identity, is one loved by God. And as he is the creator and as we are the created, he tells us who we are, And ultimately understanding that he loves us, believing that he loves us, he's not going to tell us we are something that is bad. He's not going to say, oh, you know what? I made you and I remember what I made your identity. You're the person who's screwed up and bad at everything.
Yeah.
That's who I made you to be. And it's like, what? No, like he's the one who made you and died for you. He's made you beautifully and with intention. You're not an accident. You're not on purpose. Things matter. Things are real. Things happen for a reason. Again, talking about the struggle that I'm going through. If I thought it was all random and for no reason at all, what the hell is this for? This sucks. This is terrible, right? But to understand that there is a reason behind all of this is like, it changes everything. Especially that the reason behind it is by one who loves me.
Yeah, I mean, it's
changes everything.
Again, it's comforting.
Yeah.
But like then you think about like it's also, I mean, this is another very common criticism, but it's like it's hard to accept the idea of something creating you and loving you forever and without condition.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have people who are like, they're just born into immediate shit
Sure.
and awfulness.
Yeah.
Like there are people whose lives, maybe they last 5 minutes,
Uh-huh.
and it's them choking on their umbilical cord and immediately dying.
Right. Yeah.
And it's really hard to look at a situation like that and
Yeah.
be like, this is for a purpose, and the big man upstairs loved that kid.
Well, okay. For a purpose is hard to understand, right?
Yeah,
The idea of he loved that kid, I freaking hope he loved that kid,
sure.
right? Otherwise, what is that? You know, like I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of comfort in that he loved that kid. The idea of what suffering is, I mean, the fact that we live in a sinful world that he saved us from ultimately, and he's going to come to like renew the world, and that's what we believe heaven is a renewal of earth without sin. I think like there's a great promise to look forward to that. But right now we still struggle from fallenness and from sin, and that's suffering. And God is coming to save us from suffering, but it doesn't mean we will never suffer, and that there is no suffering.
Yeah.
But he came to save us from what already is. Because whether we get rid of God or not, suffering, that happenstance
Yeah.
happens. So either we say that was random with no reason at all, and it's neither good nor bad, it's just I'm sad right now, or we say God will save us from that. God loves that kid, and we'll see that kid again one day. Or, this guy doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
You either have hope or you don't.
Yeah.
It's literally the binary.
Well, let's continue on the path of whether or not we make that decision
right. We make that decision
towards, well, me or whoever's listening that isn't brainwashed. And
Dude, I'm washed.
we'll see.
Washed in the blood.
So we last time stopped at 25, right?
Yeah.
We are starting today at 25, which is Abraham's death and his descendants. Yes?
Yeah, thankfully I memorized this entire text. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
It's just there's a shat ton of names.
There, for the first time, the first section is this. We've had this before. Is basically just a family tree coming from Abraham, his multiple wives.
Yeah, he had
and
another wife that he
servants.
married after Sarai.
Yeah.
And he had like 8 kids with this wife.
And then he also had a bunch of servants that he had sex with, one of whom we know was Hagar.
Yep.
And who would birth Ishmael.
Yep.
And Ishmael would become somehow related to Islam.
Yeah, he's like the father of Islam.
Father of
he became
Islam.
the father of 12 princes. And
Okay, so this goes through that. It's not really... I mean, I assume it's very important, but it's not really much of a story to summarize.
yeah. I mean,
You want to hit them with the names? I mean, how do we...
Well, here's what's interesting is Abraham has a new wife, has a bunch more kids, right? Talks about Ishmael and Hagar and all of those kids, right? So he's got like a litter of kids, right? He gives all of his stuff to Isaac.
Yeah,
His other kids, he sends away, right? He sends them to go away.
yeah.
Like he basically, I mean, it sounds kind of brutal, but he's almost like rejecting them in a sense. Like the promised line came through Sarah, came through Isaac. Sarah, I should say Sarah, excuse me. Came through
I forgive you.
Sarah and Isaac. Thank you. So that is like having all of these kids and then just sending them away and saying, no, my promised line is through Isaac. He is who my nations will come through. That as the Lord promised, as the promised one of God. So that is like all this extra context just shows you how separate Isaac was to Abraham.
If you're going to be born, be firstborn and be a man.
But he wasn't firstborn. Ishmael was firstborn.
Oh, but it wasn't from
Not from Sarah.
Sarah,
Yeah.
his first wife.
That's true. It's from Hagar. Yeah.
A servant, a slave.
Yeah, slave servant. So anyways, but yeah, they just talk about the earth being filled with all these folks. And then from there, it talks about the birth of Esau and Jacob to Isaac. So this is now Abraham's grandkids. Birth of Esau and Jacob. As you remember, Isaac married Rebekah, his cousin.
Yeah,
And
which is very important, by the way.
super important to
Very
marry a cousin.
important that he marry his cousin.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have talked about this last time, but why is that so important?
Because they're from the same people group, because worshipped the same God, didn't have any sort of unequally yokage going on there.
Oh, okay.
Didn't have any other foreign gods coming in to break it up. I mean, you see this, I think, in the story of Esau and Jacob as well, where Esau marries women of other lands.
And they bring much
And-
bitterness.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Rebecca's very unhappy with her daughters-in-law.
Okay. Esau
so-
comes out. Esau,
Yeah, Esau.
he comes out first.
Yeah.
He's red and hairy.
Yep.
Jacob comes out smooth.
Smooth. And he's holding on to Esau's heel
Yeah.
when he's coming out. So like very contentious twins.
They're fighting in their tummy in Rebecca's
Rebecca's tummy.
and God's like, yeah, they're gonna fuck with each other forever.
Yeah.
And but eventually one of them is gonna be a servant to the other.
Yes, that is true. Oh, also Rebecca was, before having the kids, she was barren, right? And then Isaac prayed to the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord granted his prayer. Mm-hmm. So once again, it really seems like the line that is being brought about by the Lord comes through barren women, comes through people that, again, back in the day, having kids was like the utmost. That is what gave you value back then, especially sons, right? And the women that God is choosing to use are women who are societally worth nothing. They could not have kids.
Right.
And he is choosing them, the lowest of the low, in order to bring about his fulfillment. So again, it really shows the Lord's love towards the destitute.
Which is part of why this was such a successful thing back then, because it expanded to the other half of the population.
I mean, greater than half for sure. Like if we talk about the top 1% now, it's like Christianity speaks to the 99%, speaks to the people who are suffering and who are low, because it shows that Jesus uses those people and loves those people. He doesn't adhere to the value metric that our society uses.
Yeah. Here's that little ditty about that God tells Rebecca, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples from within you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other. The older shall serve the younger. The one shall be stronger. That's Esau. He's physically stronger.
Yeah, he's big time.
But Jacob is mentally stronger because he's the one in the tent.
He's the real Jew. Yeah, he's the real Jew.
Okay.
So the one's pretty strong physically, so he's more goyish.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and that's why it's kind of when the stereotype starts.
Really?
No, I'm just making that up.
Interesting.
Sorry, it's not real.
There's been some past talk on Jays in this podcast where I've been like, I mean, we were joking around, obviously, but that does come off a little.
Exactly. Ooh, that's a little
anti-Semitic. But you guys are doing fine.
No Jews are listening to this. Actually, it is OT. Maybe they're interested in that.
OT. And then this is the one that I liked this. So Esau is a skillful hunter, a man of the field, while Jacob was a quiet man dwelling in the tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate his game, so he provided him with stuff he wanted. But Rebecca loved Jacob more, probably because he wasn't a hairy monster.
Yeah, because he wasn't gross. He wasn't sweaty and stuff. So yeah, that just shows the difference between Jacob and Esau. Back then, also just this idea of like, yeah, you're a man, you're a hunter, you're getting out there, you know? And Esau being like, I go out, I earn, I fight. Like definitely in terms of superlatives, he would be like most likely to succeed, Esau for sure.
Sure.
He goes out there, he gets it. And Jacob's like, what do I have? He's, he's a soft boy.
Yeah. He has his brain.
He has his brain.
Which he uses for, I'd say evil, to trick his brother repeatedly.
Right.
Which is the next passage, Esau. Why do I keep calling him Esau? Esau sells his birthright. Never sell your birthright.
Don't do that.
So he's the firstborn, so he's the birthright to all this stuff. But one day he comes back from hunting and Jacob has food and he goes, hey, give me some of that food. And Jacob says, I'll give you some of this food if you sell me the most important thing about you. And he goes, yeah, I mean, I'm hungry. And so he does it. And then he hates that he did it.
Yeah, pretty, because that's the thing is like you get a little hangry, you do something because you're a little hungry. You're like, hey, take my birthright.
Yeah.
Take my place in the will.
This is the first Snickers commercial.
Yeah, then you eat. And then he's like, well, shoot. That was an expensive meal.
Esau,
also,
you're not you when you're hungry.
Also, the meal was what? Lentils and bread. I mean, a real...
Oh, I didn't know they were specifically about what
was it? Then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew.
Not worth a birthright.
And he ate and drank. Yo, what sort of meal are you giving up your life for? Ooh, a nice stew. A nice stew would be good. Yeah. That is also very Jewish, their love of soup.
Plus, if he uses lentils, he pooped a brick So he was sitting and really thinking about this
Yeah.
while he was probably despising himself about
Sure.
that big fuck up. And so then we're at 26. God's promise to Isaac. What happened? What does he promise?
So this is again okay. So God promises the famine in the land, and so Isaac goes back to Abimelech, who you will recall from previous episodes, was speaking with his dad Abraham a lot. They were working,
Just laughing at the idea of someone listening to this. Because you were like,
especially more than once. So I was like, I do remember from previous
it's just
episodes.
like, no way.
Was it episode 1 or 2 ago?
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Because if you are here, we openly laughed at you.
Oh
just
my
now.
God.
We think
But
so
we
little
love
of you.
love you.
Oh man, if you listen to us, anyways, because we don't listen to us. Anyways, so Abimelech still in the land, right? And basically God's promise to Isaac is that they're going to get along. Sojourn in this land and I will be with you and will bless you. And for to you and to your offspring, I will give all these lands and I will establish the oath that I swore to Abraham, your father. So again, he kind of reestablishes that promise with Abraham, with Isaac directly. And then Isaac is hanging out in the land with Abimelech. And what happens?
Like father, like son. He says to Abimelech, hey, this hot lady I love making out with is actually my sister and not my wife. So don't kill me if you want to fuck her.
Yeah.
And then one day, and this is funny because in the ESV, it says laughing, that Abimelech sees Isaac laughing with Rebecca. But in the King James Version, which my phone app converts to whenever I don't have service,
Really? That's very interesting.
basically
The true version.
it kind of just says that they were he was fingering her. Like
No way.
He doesn't say fingering, but it's
No
like,
way.
dude. The word is
Don't get me turned on right now.
the word is different in a way where you're like, oh, he was fingering her. Like I can't remember what it was exactly.
Dude, I can't just let this lie. That's
Okay.
insane.
Look it up, King James Version,
What?
where it's like it was like lingering, like they were lingering together.
Okay, those just rhyme. Those aren't this. It doesn't mean it's the same word, you weirdo.
I said it wasn't the same word, but
Golly.
it implies a lot more than fucking laughing. They were just joking together.
What if I fingered you right now? That'd be crazy because you're my sister. That'd be nuts. What was it? 26. What's the verse? Chapter 26.
Chapter 26.
Chapter 26, verse what?
Verse.
Oh,
Be laughing with Rebecca. Verse 8.
verse 8. 26, 8. And it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out the window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah, his wife.
That means fingering. Sporting means fingering.
Sporting? I mean, what are these guys, British?
Sporting these hoes.
Sporting. A good sport. Sporting with his wife, Rebecca.
I took her behind the cricket court and I gave her a good sport.
Give a good sport back there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that is very different than laughing.
Yeah.
So-
Sporting.
Take your translations or your
Lord, I keep
versions.
my
and-
laptop here for a second before my tent is unpitched.
Oh,
I mean,
my.
this is unbelievable. Sporting. Wow.
His little
My little
Jacob
tent. My little
in the tent.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet it's more of an Esau. I bet it's hairy and red.
I don't need to get into it. It's
Okay.
Keep it going.
So he does the classic dad's trick of lying that his wife is really his sister, so that he doesn't get killed if someone wants to fuck her. And
Crazy.
then Abimelech fooled me 3 times.
Shame on him.
shame
frankly.
on
I
him.
mean, just no one's a sister anymore.
Yeah.
Sisters are gone.
Sisters are gone.
No more sisters. Also, I don't think Abimelech wanted the wife. It was like for the people in the land.
No.
And then-
Well, yeah, but still. And then another thing is like so Abimelech sees them sporting each other, and then he gets pissed off, and he's like, "Why did you do that? How then could you say she is my sister?" And then he's like, "Because I thought you guys were going to kill me because she's so hot." And then Abimelech says, "What is it you have done to us? One of the people might easily have lain with your wife. She has no agency." and you would have brought guilt upon us. So like, someone could have raped your wife, and then we would have looked bad. You just don't 100%. Do that.
Yeah. No, someone could have raped her, and they would have been so embarrassed.
They would have brought shame to us because she's your wife, not because they
also how crazy again
a sexual crime.
Yeah. Also, how crazy again for Isaac to be like someone rapes his wife, and then he's like, no, yeah, that's fine. She's
just
my sister.
Don't kill me.
She's my sister.
See,
it's like, what the hell is this?
I don't like what's going on in here sometimes. But anyway,
the culture's not great.
So that happens, and then so he's like, Abimelech goes, all right, again, nobody fucked this guy's wife. Turns out wife. You can stay here, but anybody who tries to have sex with her is going to be put to death. And so then things are chill for a little bit.
Isaac starts making cash.
Isaac starts becoming very successful.
So much so that Abimelech is like, get the hell out of here. You're too big for us.
Take you and your hot sister wife and get out of here.
Yeah.
You're too, what is the line? You are mightier than we.
Yeah. I'm just kind of embarrassed.
Go away from us.
Got big dicked in his own land.
For you are much mightier than we.
Yeah.
Which, Abimelech seems like kind of a reasonable guy.
He low key he does, for sure. I mean, except for the stealing of wives, which is his. I mean, he doesn't know it's wives, but still stealing folks, not great. But so then Isaac departs and he goes around and he starts drilling wells for oil.
Really?
No, sorry, water. I don't think they knew how much oil was worth back then, dude. I would have.
Thank God.
If I had known, man. So that was kind of that. They're going around and they rebuilding wells and all of this stuff, and they build wells and people are like, that's our land, and then they are like, okay, sorry, and then they go somewhere else, build another well, and people go, that's our land, and then they're like, okay, sorry, and then eventually they find a place that no one's fighting over and they build a well there, and there they camp, and that is Beersheba. So that's kind of where they set up camp for the more long-term thing of things.
Yeah. And then is that all that's in that important part?
In regards to Isaac's wanderings, perhaps.
Okay.
And then it goes to the next trickery. The next step after that is in scriptures, the next trickery of Jacob, where he screws Esau.
Yeah. Before we get to Isaac blesses Jacob, is there anything important about the wells? Like the fact that they keep moving on, drilling a well, people are like, no, that's ours. And then is there anything significant or worth of note?
I mean, personally, what I see from that is that God uses his people to bless everybody, right?
Okay.
Like God's using Isaac, his chosen people, to not just like Isaac is probably like, could you just let us have a freaking well? Could you let us go? Like, let us just, hang out here. Just let us chill here. This is our work. But then they get kicked out. And now this well has been provided for other people. So again, it's evidence that God is not just caring for his own chosen people, but he is the God of all, and that he provides for everyone through his people. So that's like that's something that I draw from that.
Okie dokie. I don't really have any thought. I don't know. The whole chosen people thing is it's like you make everybody, you love everybody, and then you choose a certain group of people.
Well, so I think the way you push back on that, again, this fast forwards us to Jesus, but like he chose a group of people through whom his salvation would come, right? Mm-hmm. So he didn't choose to save just a group of people.
Yeah.
But when you're gonna have your salvation be born into the world, there is a genealogy attached to that, as there's a genealogy attached to everybody, right? So this is like the Jews are the people from which salvation of the world will come. Jesus. So that's why you're focusing on that people group specifically. But ultimately, it is salvation for everyone, not just Jews, but Gentiles as well.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has been chosen to be saved, in a sense, like every people group.
But the line of people who will bring the salvation is one specific, even though he is God, Jesus is God, and comes from a divine.
But he comes through the people of the Jews. I mean, he comes through Mary. But then also you see this too, is there's a lot of non-Jews roped into the genealogy too, right? Okay. So there's a lot of, it's not like it was all pure Jews, whatever. It's like, it was like, there was Ruth, right? Who was not a Jew. And she was brought in from a neighboring country. by her mother-in-law. And so she went back to Israel with her mother-in-law, married Boaz, and she is in the genealogy. She is not a Jew, but she's part of the genealogy of Christ.
Yeah.
So actually, every people group, like other people groups other than Jews, are a part of the birth of Christ as well.
Okay, interesting. Boaz is one of the pillars in the temple. There's a white pillar and a black pillar, and it's like Jachin and Boaz.
Where?
In this, can you look it up? Can you Google it?
Okay, yeah. Jachin.
I think it's like Jachin and Boaz.
Where?
It's a part of a temple.
Pillar of Boaz.
Pillar of Boaz.
Pillar of Boaz was one of 2 copper, brass, or bronze pillars that stood in the porch of Solomon's temple.
Porch of Solomon's temple.
Yeah. So at this point, Boaz was David's, a forerunner of David as well, and Solomon is David's son.
Okay.
So yes, because I think it goes Boaz, Obed, Jesse, David. So Boaz, I think, is like his great grandpa or something, great grandpa.
So this is imagery that's on what's it called? Cards.
Tarot cards.
Tarot cards.
Oh, you made me pull up this devil on my internet?
You've pulled up worse devils on your internet, my friend. Don't fucking.
Recently. Not within the past 5 weeks on my computer.
That's just a side thing. It's in Blood Meridian. He has a bunch of tarot cards in Blood Meridian. And
Oh, okay.
he mentions Boaz. But anyway, okay, now we've reached Isaac blesses Jacob. But he doesn't think he's blessing Jacob. He thinks he's blessing Esau. But Jacob and his sneaky mom pull a shitty little trick to steal Esau's blessing. Basically, Isaac is on his way out. He goes, I'm going to die soon. So you, my firstborn, Esau, go do what you're good at and hunt some food that I love, prepare it for me and bring it to me. And then once you do that, I will give you a blessing. And Rebecca overhears this and goes to Jacob and says, listen to me, boy. You're going to dress up in Esau drag, and you are going to read your father's story.
Yeah.
Continue.
Okay, that was not, you just let that go headlong into the mic. So basically, Esau's out. He's hunting. He's trying to get this thing to kill this thing, give it to his dad, get the blessing, right? He's gone. Rebecca's like, Jacob. Rebecca gets some goats, makes the food for him, cooks the meal. Jacob puts on some hairy clothing. Also, this says before Isaac was dim, his eyes were dim, like he could not see well at all. Yeah. So you could go in and Jacob goes in and goes, hey, Dad, it's me, Esau. I'm here with the thing. And Jacob's like, and Isaac's like, wow, that was really fast. How'd you get that? And then he's like, the Lord blessed me. I'm fast, I got the game fast. And then he goes, oh, okay, well, you sound like Jacob. And Jacob's like,
no.
Nope, I'm Esau. You can touch me. Yeah. And because he's got the clothes on that feel hairy.
Well, he's got like a goat skin or whatever.
Yeah, goat skin
on the
over
back of his hands, over his neck.
Yeah, like where Isaac would touch him. So Isaac touches him and goes, well, you're hairy. Yeah, I guess you are.
Yeah.
I guess you're Esau. Well, anyways, cool. And he eats the food and then he lays a hand on him and blesses him, thinking he's Esau. But Jacob is like, ooh, I'm not Esau. I'm Jacob.
Don't do that voice in the sneaky situation.
Ooh, I'm not that.
Anyway, so he tricks him.
Yep, tricks him.
Gets the blessing to basically be like the guy, the ruler, him.
Mm-hmm.
And all of his enemies will bow before him.
Yeah, you want to just read the
Sure, I'll just read the thing.
Yeah, read the blessing.
So the blessing given to
Jacob when intended for Esau.
When intended for Esau is, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of the dew of heaven and of the fatness of the earth and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may your brothers' sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you. He steals that from his brother.
He just gets it. He's like, yo, and you're like, okay, cool. That sounds like a cool blessing.
A trick.
Sounds like a nice blessing. as the blessing is kind of finishing up, they can hear Esau coming in. Like this is
that
like
true?
Yeah. At the end, it says you could hear. He slips out the back of the tent.
Oh, I don't. That part wasn't.
As soon as Isaac, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, when Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, Esau his brother came in from hunting.
Ooh,
So it's like, yo,
damn! Isaac gets to do a bang bang.
yeah, bang bang. That's true. He's probably like, oh, I'm so full.
2 meals back to back.
Yeah. He goes, let my father arise and eat of his son's game. And then Isaac is like, who are you? To Esau. Esau's like, yo, Dad, I'm here. And he's like, what? I just ate of your game. And then he goes, and it's so crazy because it's like, I am your firstborn. Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me and before you came, and I have blessed him? Yes, and he shall be blessed. Isaac was like, who is that I just blessed? Because he's going to be blessed.
Yeah,
He just nailed it. Whoever, and it's like, and just crazy that he's like, yep, I blessed that guy, and that's it. And then Esau's like, that was Jacob. He tricked you.
Mm-hmm.
Bless me too. Like, give me a blessing. And Isaac's like, I can't.
Kind of used it. And
I used up the
and
blessing.
Esau calls him out on that one. He's like, you only can do one blessing?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, fine, but it's not going to be as good.
And listen to how listen to how bad of a blessing it is. I mean,
He's like, all right, I get, behold, away from the fatness of the earth shall your dwelling be, and away from the dew of heaven on high. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. Sorry. But when you grow restless, you shall break his yoke from your neck. So like, hey, kind of what he got, but mostly you're going to be a killer, and you're going to serve your brother. And then eventually you're going to get so pissed off, you're going to break the chains.
how crazy is that? Because Jacob's blessing that Jacob gets is like, you will live in the fatness of the earth and you will have the dew of heaven. And then Esau's is like, well, you're not going to have the fatness of the earth. Or the dew
Yeah.
of like it opens with like, you're not getting that stuff. That stuff's been given
Behold,
away.
away from the fatness.
So you're not getting that stuff.
Yeah.
I bet he's like killing time. He's like, so I can't say that.
Yeah, he's just thinking of like, how do I kind of,
Away
you're violent?
from that.
You know how to kill?
You're
That's
gonna-
cool.
Yeah, that's going to be good, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you're going to break the yoke. So eventually you will be free of your brother. But so that's all he promises. He doesn't promise great things. He just says eventually you'll be free of your brother.
And you're going to be kind of a badass.
Sure.
You're going to live by the sword.
Yeah, I guess. But I don't think that's like, oh, that's my ideal world.
No,
you know,
yeah, but in
I'd rather be
terms
in
of
finance.
sure, right,
You know?
it's cleaner, but you know, so yeah, that's and he's pissed,
Esau's pissed.
and so after that, he's like, well, I'm for sure gonna kill my brother. I mean, I live by the sword, so I'm gonna break his yoke, and
Immediately.
that means I'm gonna slay him. And then Rebecca's like, okay, he's pissed that we tricked him.
Yeah, because
Esau.
Rebecca had played a big part in that.
Yeah,
Rebecca was the
for sure.
her whole idea.
She commanded her other son.
Yeah.
You know, they say parents don't pick favorites, but it's just such bullshit.
Right, but at least it was 1-on-1, you know?
Yeah, that's true. It's an even split.
Yeah.
Because I think most of the time that's not how it works.
You think both parents have one favorite?
I think a lot of the time that's how it works.
That's brutal.
That's very brutal.
That's brutal.
Maybe not most of the time, but I've seen it where it's just like, oh, the son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then so she's like overhears him. I mean, this is the next one. This is 28, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Rebecca's like, yeah, she for sure wants to kill you, Jacob. So you got to go to Laban, my brother, your uncle, and
Labanba.
Labanba.
I think it's Laban, but
Oh, Laban. Oh, sorry.
that's okay.
Laban. Okay, so you want to do that one? We got 7 minutes.
Yeah. So basically, Laban is her family that she came from, right?
Right.
Another uncle, cousin, whatever, right? And then she tells Jacob, yo, do not marry any of these freaking garbage women that your brother married. Because Esau married these like Canaanites, Hittites, whatever, and she hated them. So she was like, go to my cousin, whatever, marry someone in their family, please, so that we could just like get along. That would be fantastic. And so Jacob's like, all right, Chilla, I'll head over there. Esau marries an Ishmaelite. Esau married an Ishmaelite, which is his cousin.
Which has been good in the past. I don't know what's bad now.
Well, Ishmael
Oh, right.
of Hagar.
It's not close. They're not close enough cousins for it to be good.
Was that a second cousin?
Ew. Who are you,
this
Rudy Giuliani?
Oh, gross. That'd be so funny they said that. So then Jacob gets out of Dodge, is going over to Laban, yada, yada. Falls asleep at Beersheba, or he left Beersheba and went towards Haran. Came to a certain place, stayed there. And when he was falling asleep, he used a rock as a pillow because it's really about support.
Yeah.
It's not about softness these days.
Shouldn't
These
be
pillows.
soft.
It
shouldn't be soft.
No, I mean
it should be a harder
doesn't need to be
pillow.
rock hard, but like it's really about support. Like the My Pillow, or like have you seen the Cube pillow?
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yeah.
It's really just about support, and I think that's what this is really pointing out here.
Yeah. This has all been a big ad for the My Pillow.
Introducing Jacob's pillow,
Which is so-
it's just a rock.
So tough.
Yeah. So he falls asleep, and then when he falls asleep, he has a dream of a ladder going up to heaven. And in this ladder, I have a hard time picturing a ladder because I always think of like a pretty narrow ladder, you know?
Yeah.
But he says like there are angels ascending and descending the ladder. So it's probably more of like a staircase type vibe.
Right.
Of people going up and down to heaven, and at the top of the throne is seated the Lord. And he says, I am the God of your father Isaac and his father Abraham. And then he makes the same promise to Jacob that he did to Isaac and Abraham, saying, this land that you're in right now will be yours and your descendants. And he makes that promise to him yet again. So now 1, 2, 3, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, God has made that promise to them. So further cementing that, Jacob wakes up and is like, yo, this is lit. This is going to be my land. He makes an altar out of that stone that he slept on, out of his My Pillow. And he just puts oil all over the My Pillow, kind of ruins it a little bit. And then he heads on to go to be with Laban.
Yes. And but the
name of that place is called Bethel.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's not Bethlehem. It's different.
Bethlehem. I should. Well, hold on. Let's check it out. We're in a study Bible here. I call the name Bethel. 19. The city's name continued to be Luz until the Israelites occupied Canaan many centuries later. The actual called Bethel.
Don't read it like that. If it's a list, it's a podcast.
Sorry.
Don't like shoot through it.
Yeah. No. I was sifting it for something that would be more helpful, but it was not very helpful.
Okay. Well.
Not Bethlehem.
It was called Luz for a little bit, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
called Luz.
Bethlehem.
No.
So then it's Jacob marries Leah, and we're pretty much done because I didn't read that far. And
We got 3 more minutes. Yeah, we got a few more minutes to go. But I think, but yeah, so that's that. And that's like a pretty legendary, you know, I'll because we got a little bit of time, I'll just read the promise that the Lord made to Jacob in his dream. He said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give to you and to your offspring. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you and your offspring shall all the families of earth be blessed. Similar with the drilling wells thing. Like that. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I've promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his dream. So basically just got like a pretty hard dap from God and was like, yo, you're in. You're in. I will
you're
not
one
leave
of the
you.
guys. He's been made. He's a made man.
He's a made man.
Oh, that's a good that you pointed that out. So it's like, not only will your people be like, are they the chosen ones, but those places where they are, those people around them who are not even of them will be blessed as well.
And ultimately, when you point towards long term, right, you think about Jesus, this is a foreshadow, you know, this is a prophecy of Jesus, who will not just bless the Jews and his people, but will bless the world. You know, we're Gentiles. I've been thinking about that a lot recently, about how the fact that like Jesus came first to the Jews and then to the Gentiles. Like he appeared himself first to the Jews as the Messiah, and then to the Gentiles. Like we were not in his OG
Gentile
group of people.
Gentile is not like a particular, wasn't like a particular.
Anyone who's
Hittite,
not a Jew.
It's just anybody who's not
Hittite is a Gentile. Yeah, it's literally just Jew, Gentile.
Okay,
Jew,
okay.
everybody else.
Goyim.
Goyim. Yeah, a Kenyan, Goy. Chinese, Goy. All Gentile.
Oh, I thought Kenyan was another word for goy.
Oh, no.
But it's just that Kenyans are
Kenyans
goy.
are goys. Everyone other than a Jew is a goy. And just this idea of like we were outside of that promise, and the Lord roped us in through Jesus.
Yeah.
To be included and to be saved. You know,
Is this whole thing about like the kind of lineage coming from barren women? Is that have anything to do with why Judaism is passed matrilineally?
I do not believe that is not tied to it. I used to know the reason for why that was. I think it had to do something with. Dude, I won't even venture to guess. I used to have it down as to why that was. It had something to do with sleeping with multitude of people.
Oh.
And that women were generally not doing that. They were more tied to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I forget. It had something. It was some sexist thing like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, you can Google it too. All right. I mean, we rambled a little bit in the beginning. I don't know how much we'll keep, but do you have anything else you want to say?
No, we keep all that. Why do we not keep it?
I don't know.
God, this guy sucks. Yeah, let's keep it.
Fuck you. Find another person who wants to do this.
No one else wants to do this.
Exactly.
It's your idea. What the hell?
Bailing on
Just
my own idea.
run with your idea with somebody else. Hey, are you interested? They're like, I tried to do this with Frankie.
Yeah.
He's
no.
like, I do not want to do this. I'm like,
Yeah,
I get that.
dedicate the time. All right. Well,
Don't think so.
This has been another episode of
Call Him Father.
And I think this is a good one.
I think this was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, up top, we didn't talk too much about what we were going through, but just about Christianity today.
Sure.
Good publication. Yeah, please don't. Hopefully, I emphasized in the front half hour. Please don't emphasize Christianity with the institutions or with the worst people you've ever known. Relate Christianity to a loving God who loves you. That's who people can never fully accurately mirror. So that's our mistake, not the Lord's.
And my message is to,
Go ahead.
Donate to the Patreon, and
if someone
we
wants
don't
to
have that. Actually,
if someone wants to set up a Patreon for us,
yeah,
then
you can collect. We'll do a 60-40.
Yeah.
You do you take 60. Honestly, that's how bad we don't want to do.
They
the
just
work.
make it for us, and then they give it to us, and they become a donor,
Oh,
and then we'll just have it.
okay. Well, yeah, that works too.
Yeah.
But be nice to each other. Pay attention to the world around you, and have a good one.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
See you later.